Hello friends, I have received an email from my colleague with an attachment containing some data. I need to update that data into my Power BI report. What is the normal process? First I download that file into my folder, then upload or append my Power BI desktop file and publish. But I don't want this entire manual intervention. Only when the mail received, immediately the report should be updated in Power BI service, and also my end user should get the same report. This is all about in this video. So in this video, I'm going to explain how to create a scenario where you have received an email and immediately your Power BI report is updated in Power BI service, including your end user's report is also same. Let me show you a small demo to make you understand what exactly I'm talking about. Let me go to my Power BI service, and this is the report I have created with that scenario. Currently, this report doesn't have any value. But if I am going to send an email, let me just go to my Excel file. This report I am going to send spreadsheet. It's not Excel, it's CSV, which I'm sharing with my user, that is myself. And then once I got the email, immediately my report will be updated in a matter of 1 or 2 minutes, and then you can see the same values in my report. Now let me send the report, send the file to myself. Open, and I'll write the email because I need to use this user. He's the owner of the license or subscription, and I need to share with him. So let me attach the file. The file name is first file. It's a CSV file, and open. And one small thing, I need to write the name as student in the subject matter. So because this entire flow is created in such a way that if I don't write student in the subject matter, otherwise if I do not include student string within the subject matter, this file or this attachment will not be considered for report. So I need to write student. I will explain you in the process why I have added student there. And that's it. Remaining thing is not really required. I can write a body text, otherwise also fine. I'm just sending this file. And then I need to wait for a while, maybe 1 minute or less than 1 minute or maybe less than 2 minutes. And the report is ready. Less than 1 minute. So that is how we can achieve this. But what exactly I'm going to do in this video? Let me show you. I have received an email, and with the help of Power Automate, I am pushing that email attachment to a blob storage. And immediately, the moment blob created in the blob storage or blob container, with the help of data factory pipeline and with the help of storage triggers, pushing that content to the SQL Server database, which has already been created in Azure. Once my SQL Server is updated, database is updated, I don't require the data which is there in the blob storage. Either I can put as a copy somewhere else, that means as a backup, else I can remove this. In this video, I'm going to show you how to delete that, again using the pipeline and the storage trigger. Once my SQL data is updated, with the help of direct query in Power BI, I'm pulling the data into Power BI. First time I'm creating one report in Power BI desktop and publish it. Later, whenever any email received, that data will be updated or appended inside SQL Server, and then my report is ready within a matter of 1 or 2 minutes, which I have shown you just now. Now let me show you how to start and how to create the scenarios. Now the first step is to create the Azure resources. First I need to create the resource group. Then I need to create the required resources. Then I can proceed further. So I need to jump into my Azure portal. So which is portal.azure.com, and you need to have a subscription, and how to have a subscription, whether we can have a free trial. These things I can discuss in another video, a special video. If you want, please let me know in the comments. Now I need to create one resource group first. A resource group is a logical container to have all the resources, whatever we create, like blob storage and SQL Server database and data factory, these things we can keep in one resource group. I need to have a new resource group, new, that is create a resource group. I need to give a name to it, and then it should be within my vicinity since I'm the consumer of this data. So Central India, so that is recommended. Review and create. So my resource group is created. So within this resource group, I need to create first Azure Blob storage. So storage accounts, create a new storage account, and then I need to select the right resource group. Storage account will be new Purdue storage, and then I want to use the low cost option, and then review. Once it is reviewed, I can create it. It will take a while to get created, so I need not wait. I can go to further creation of resources. The next one is I need to create a SQL server, SQL database. So SQL, create. Again, I need to select the right resource group, and then I can select new Purdue data, that is my database name, and my server will be in the Central India, and it is a development instance. And then I want to create locally redundant backup storage, and next is I need to go to the networking. Before that, I need to create the server, so I can click on new and then new Purdue server. There is an existing server, I don't want to use that for this demo, so I've created a new server, and this server again should be in the vicinity of myself, so Central India. And I want to create both SQL Server authentication and also Active Directory authentication. So for that, I'm using both SQL and Azure AD authentication. Since I'm using Azure AD authentication, I need to set up an admin. So this admin will be myself. I'm the subscription owner, so I need to create myself as an admin. Otherwise, I can add anybody. And my server name is new Purdue server, and I need to give a password, and I need to confirm the password. Once it is done, I can click on OK. Now my server is created. I need to finish my database. So this database I should be able to access within Azure other resources. So networking, select public endpoint, and then allow Azure services and resources to access this server, and then add current client IP address so that I can whitelist my IP, so that I'll get an endpoint, and the same endpoint I can use in my Power BI desktop to create a report. And once it is done, I'm good to go, review and create. And it will take some time to create. So now my blob stories are created. So where I need to create a container, and also I need to create roles who can access the blob and who can create, who can delete and modify. For that, I need to go back to my storage accounts, that is new blob storage. And then I need to get into the blob service. There I need to create a container where I'm going to host my file or CSV file. Input, create the container. Once the container is created, I need to create a role, and I need to assign that role to me myself, because even though I'm a subscription owner and I'm the admin for this particular subscription, until unless I'm not creating that role, I will not be able to access the blob storage in terms of deletion, addition and creation, etc. So for that, I need to go to access control and then select add role assignment, and the role will be blob contributor, and then There you can read, write and delete, and then click on next to add the members, that is myself, and select review and assign, so that the role assignment happened. Now I need to create a data factory because the data engineering will happen there. So data factory, create a new data factory for the demo purpose. Resource group is the new resource group and new df schedule. Again, I want to keep into my nearest location, then review and create. So that is how I have created all the resources, but I have created a database, but I need to create a table in that database. Now the new database is created, so let me jump into the new database and I need to create a table. So for that I can see one option, query editor. Just like in the SSMS you have a query editor, so I need to get that table structure. So these are the columns I'm going to use. A small tweaking need to be done because it's a CSV file and it's coming in its own fashion, and I need to add some kind of data type as well, customer var character. I'm keeping a common length of the data type, that is 100 characters. You can keep less than that or more than that also, and I need to change them. So I'll just put a comma and copy paste across. So same code I can copy paste directly. Date of joining is not a character, it is date. Student name is fine, department is fine, city, branch, application is fine, duration is integer, and then fees per hour is integer. Column 1 cannot have 100, it should have 500 characters because it's a long text. Then latitude will be float, longitude will be float, and state is a var character. Let me copy this all and let me go back to my query editor where create table revenue and paste the code. Small tweaking, student name is not is having space. We need to make sure that space is taken care, and fees per hour as well. So that if you add a square bracket, that column name will be considered as a single string, so that there is no issue. Otherwise things are okay. Everywhere the comma is there, and if I click on run, I can see there is one table created. The table name is revenue. Now we have created all the resources within Azure portal. The next step is to add a connector in my Power Automate, the Blob storage connector, and then I need to bring the endpoint there so that I can push the data from email to Blob storage. I need to go to Power Automate, make.powerautomate.com and log in and get into any specific environment. There I need to add the data connector, Blob storage container connection. So I'll go to data, there I'll go to connections, data connections, and select new connection, and then search for Blob storage. It's a premium connector, and it is asking what kind of authentication you are going to use, that is access key. I can access the access key from the Blob storage, and give me the Blob endpoint. So I need to just go to my Blob, go to settings and then select endpoints. There is the link, so Blob service link, copy that, come back and paste it here. Now I need to paste the access key. So for that I need to go to access keys, that is there in the security, and I need to showcase the first access key and copy it, come back and paste here, and this will allow me to connect to the Blob storage. And now my Blob storage connector is ready. Now this connector will allow me to access the Blob storage very easily, and also the container, and whatever action I am deciding, that will be taken care. I am creating a blob. For that I need to create a new flow. Let me go to create in the Power Automate. It is an automated cloud flow because the moment email received, automatically this flow need to start. So select automated cloud flow, and then I need to give a name to it. That is email to Blob. Then I need to select the trigger, because whenever you are using automated flow, you need to think about two things. One, the trigger. Second is the action. The trigger is basically where from the somewhere the mail is coming, and that email need to be taken care. So that is a trigger. So I'll select Outlook 365 there when a new email arrives. And then where it is arriving into the inbox. Who is sending, to whom it is sent, who is the CC, I'm not worried about. But I'm more interested in include attachments, yes, and the subject matter. I don't want to consider all the emails with attachment. That will create a problem to me. So I have given instruction to my people who are sending the mails to me to add at least student in the subject matter. Otherwise, they can add a text with student. The string should be there. So I'm just saying the subject filter will be student. So now inbox, include attachments, yes, subject filter is student, importance is any, and only with attachments will be considered. Now the action. What need to happen when the email received with an attachment? I need to push the data to my blob storage. So new step, and the connector will be blob storage. Since I've already created a connection, it's easy to find the actions. Create a blob, because whatever email is coming will be with an attachment. That attachment should be created as a blob inside the container. So select create blob. And what is the storage account name? So I can just drop down and select the account name. And what is the folder path? I can select it and select that folder path. Since I've already created a connection, these details are available automatically. Now what is a blob name? You can't give any specific name, because the attachment can be anything and it has different names sometimes. Maybe due to spelling mistakes, or maybe due to some other reason, the attachment name will come with different things. So whatever attachment comes and whatever name it is, that name I need to incorporate. So for that, I need to use the dynamic content. So the dynamic content is attachment name. So whatever attachment name, that name to be added. And also what is the content? As it is, whatever attachment content is there, please add that to my blob. And then save. So this process will automate the email attachment to blob transfer. So let me save it. And then the next step is set up a pipeline and triggers in Azure Data Factory. So for that, I need to go to my Azure portal. I need to jump into the Data Factory and then go to Data Factory Studio. Now I need to follow 3 steps. One, I need to create a linkage between my SQL Server and blob storage to the Data Factory. And then I need to create the datasets where the temporary data will sit, and from there I will create a pipeline and push the blob storage data to SQL Server database. For that, I need to get into manage, and then I need to create linked services. So linked services, new. First linked service will be blob. I need to link the blob data factory, and then name it as blob link. So I need to give the subscription and other details. So my subscription is whatever subscription I have, and storage account is whatever we have just now created before getting here. So there I need to test the connection. Even without testing the connection, if you click on create, the linked service will be created, but later if you have any issues, it will throw an error. Better check the connection. So test connection, and the connection is successful. So click on create so that the linked service is created. The next linked service will be the SQL Server. So Azure SQL database, and then SQL link, and then subscription will be my subscription, server name will be new Pay to server, database will be new Pay to data, and I'm using the SQL authentication, and I have created a username called Pay to server, new Pay to server. and then password will be, and most important thing again, test the connection. Without that also link service will be created, but it may cause problems later. Test connection, it is successful created. Now this has given me two link services. Now I need to create the data set. For that I need to go to author, the pencil icon, and then create a data set. First data set will be blob data set. The blob storage, continue. I need to use only CSV files because there is a specific type is here. So whatever files are coming should be CSV. You can use Excel as well, but I am comfortable with CSV because CSV can hold a lot of data. Excel has a limitation of 1 million rows. So I select CSV, and then name will be blob data, linked service through the blob link, and container will be input. File name I will give later because I need to create a variable, because file name I don't know what kind of file name I get. It can be anything. So I will decide this later. And first row has a header because I'm using CSV file. Otherwise you will have issues. So let the data also contain a header and use first row as a header and then press OK. But now we need to create the parameter, because without the parameter we do not know what file name is, and we need to make it as a dynamic content just like we did in Power Automate. So let me select the parameter, new, and give a file name. This is the user defined name. You can give any name, so it is comfortable for me. Now I can give the file path, and file name will be a dynamic content, which is nothing but file name. And now at this time, if you browse, you will not get the content. You will get an error. No worries. We are not worried about it. We will decide what to be done later. So now I need to create another data set, which is for the SQL Server. And then this is SQL data. Link service is SQL link. Through that the data is coming, and the table name is revenue, already created. That's it. Here we need not create any parameter because I have only one table, revenue table, and the data, whatever data is coming should be appended only in this table. So I'm good. Next is the action. That means we need to push the data from Blob to the SQL Server. We have to use a pipeline, and pipeline needs an action. So what is the action we require? That is, we are pushing this Blob to SQL. So I'll give a pipeline name as blob to SQL, and then I need to add an action called copy the data. So copy data from blob to CSV. Now where is our data? Our data is there in the data set. That is a temporary data. And even the copy data one, I want to name it as copy data from blob to SQL table. And then I need to select the source. Here the interesting thing. So when I select the source, it will ask me data set. Where is your data is residing temporarily? That is blob data. And what is the file name? It is a dynamic file name because it's a variable. But that variable is not created, because when you are creating a pipeline, then also you need to have a parameter. So I'm selecting new and creating a parameter, file name. Then I can go to the copy data and select source and select the dynamic content as file name. I can't use the dataset parameter here. I need to create a parameter specifically. And then what is that file? Which file you are getting? So I have to use the wild character. So wildcard file path, input is the folder. Inside that I have a file star.csv. Any file which is having CSV as an extension. That is from blob storage, any file whichever is coming from the container, please push that to sync. That is the database, SQL database, and rest of the things I need not do anything because it's a static table. The same table gets updated every time, so we are good to go. But I said at the beginning that whatever blob container is now having the data should not be there once my SQL table updated. It's a duplicate. Either keep that in a different container or remove it. I want to remove that. So for that I have a separate action called delete, and this need to happen only when I have completed my first step or first action or first activity. Now delete. So delete what? Delete executed blob, because that blob is no more required. The source will be dataset blob data, and the file name will be again the dynamic content, which is file name, which is coming from the pipeline. And I want to use the file while character, that is any file with CSV extension. And when you are doing any activity in Azure, there is a auditing. So anything is done, the logs will be created. What deleted, when deleted, who deleted. So those things will be created. So if you want to keep them in a container, you can keep them, but that is again a CSV file. But in current scenario, I cannot keep any other CSV file into my current blob container. For example, if I select the link service, it is showing the blob link and I can browse the input now. But I should not do that. Either I need to create one separate blob container and select that so that all the logs will be stored in that. For this example, I don't want to create that. I'm just saying no logging is required. And that way we have created a pipeline. But is it automated? No. Only the Power Automate thing is automated. Once the email received, blob is created in the container. But once the blob is created, you need to come to this Data Factory Studio and you need to click on the debug. Then only the data will be pushed. So you have to do every time, which is not advisable. For that, you need to use a trigger. So just like a Power Automate, the trigger need to be created. So what is the trigger here? The moment the blob created, immediately the copy data need to happen and then delete data need to happen. For that, add trigger, new trigger. You have 4 type of triggers. One is schedule. So trigger name is blob to SQL, and schedule tumbling window, storage events and custom events. Third one is storage event. That is what we are using now. The storage event is nothing but when the blob is created or deleted. In our case, it is when the blob is created and it is from the Azure subscription, and storage account name is new PDU storage, and container we have created input. And then when the blob created, that is the event. And then we can just click on continue, and it is now searching for any blob is there inside the container. We don't have. Continue, and it is asking a file name. But here I cannot give a parameter, but I can give a trigger body. So at the rate trigger body and the parameter. Now this will help me to push the data, whatever the file name triggered, that file name need to be taken care, and press OK. And now our pipeline with the trigger is ready. Our Power Automate is ready, and we need to just send the email. In the Data Factory, we have created all the related actions, but we have not published them. The most important thing, whenever you create a trigger, that trigger need to be published first, then only this action will happen. Go to publish all and publish. If you have any issues while publishing, it will throw an error. So now publishing is done. Now I need to create a Power BI report. We have a SQL database and a table, but the table doesn't contain any data. But that dummy table or empty table we can use and create a report, and then we will publish it. For that, I need to open Power BI desktop. I need to connect to the SQL Server database inside the Azure. For that, I need to get the endpoint. So let me go to my SQL Server. And this is the server name. And I need to go to my Power BI desktop, SQL Server, paste it. I'm using direct query because I want to keep the data in the server side only, and control. So I have the database and then table. Currently the table doesn't contain any data because we have not sent any email into that. So load, and then the table is there. Now I can create the report. So I want to create a bar chart. So in this bar chart, I want to add the data, that is in the y-axis, I want to add city, and in the x-axis, I want to add the duration. And then I want to go to format, then more options, and then shadow on, so that I can, now since there is no data, so I need to see how my chart is sitting. I need to create one measure. So let me go to the data, and in the revenue table, create a new measure. Total revenue, sum x, revenue table, duration multiplied by fees per hour. So this gives me the total revenue, which I can showcase as visual. So I'll just add a column chart, department, and total revenue. And again, this need to be formatted the way I want. And finally, I want to add one more chart, maybe a pie chart. And you can add any kind of chart what you want. So in that I need to add state, total revenue. I'm just creating a random report. So adding a card visual. So in this I'm adding the duration. And again, this also need to be properly formatted. Copy, paste, keep it down. So inside that I'm adding the total revenue. So for that I need to go to the field, total revenue. Now the report is blank. I'm not worried because there is no data, and I need to publish this. So save this file first and then publish. Selecting a specific workspace, and if I go to my workspace, and I can see that report is available. Showing blank values. One important thing you need to understand here, go to the dataset and go to dataset settings. One thing we need to check whether the data source credentials are set properly. Sometimes you will have an issue. Let me click on credentials, and currently it is good, or auth 2 and organizational, and sometimes it will ask you to sign in, but I need not do now because my credentials are good. But otherwise you need to come here and just clean them, otherwise the report will not be updated. Now let me try the email again. So let me go to email, select a new email. There I need to just select the recipient, student, insert, attach the file, and then send it. And now we can wait another 2 minutes to see the report updated or not. Just 1 minute, rather less than 1 minute. The report is updated, and you can see 988 is the duration sum that I have already shown you in the beginning, and 2 million is the value. That is how if you send any number of mails, this report is getting updated within a matter of 1 minute or 2 minutes, and then your job is done. And if the data is little more, maybe it will take a little more time. But this is how we can achieve the concept called receive email, update your report. And I hope you have understood the concept. If you have any questions, please mention them in the comment section, and let me know if any new ideas you want to just tell me so that I can create a better video. Please do subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. Please do share with many people so that they will also know this concept. Thank you very much.